things aren't always what you expect them to be. That people and situations have a way of surprising you. I always shrugged the saying off as a throwaway, but then I realized how true it was when I came face to face with the reality of it, playing AI the Somnium Files. Imagine there's a detective who's hunting down a serial killer. He's at a crossroads. He's facing down 5 gunmen, and the killer is getting away. What do you think could give our detective the strength he needs to overcome the situation? The desire for justice? The memory of a loved one? Well, in AI the Somnium Files, the thing that gives our detective the strength he needs isn't any of those things. It's a porn magazine, because that's his favorite thing in the world. It was a surprise to me, too. But you get used to having your expectations snubbed by Somnium Files, because it happens a lot. Take another unexpected aspect of the game. Most stories usually progress in a clear, linear way, where you're given time to register new information, characters, and plot points, but not in Somnium Files. In Somnium Files, the plot splits into 5 different timelines, each of which have plot points that overlap with each other in a very confusing and complicated way, and which throws off any sense of understanding you might have painstakingly gained.
Huh? Where'd the porn go?
The game loves to throw you for a loop, but it's not all bad. You feel kind of smart when you remember all the clues and piece everything together. The game also has a lot of character arcs, with stories that surprise you by reminding you can still feel things in your cold, dead heart. Honestly, this game amazed me, and I want to break it down and talk about it. So here's my story analysis of AI the Somnium Files. Spoiler alert! I'm gonna go through the main plot of the game, so be aware there's spoilers for that in the video, but I won't spoil the ending of any of the timelines or give away any of the major plot twists. When a woman's found dead at a local theme park, the police are called to investigate. Kaname Date, a detective for the Tokyo Metropolitan Police Department, begins his search of the scene of the crime. Together with Aiba, the artificial intelligence assistant that lives in his head, he looks around for clues. He soon realizes aspects of the murder resemble a series of killings that happened years previously, which were known as the Cyclops killings. Then he finds something he wasn't expecting. A little girl hiding near the victim's body. She's taken to the hospital, and at her bedside, Date falls asleep, and we enter his somnium, a dream space where ideas and memories appear as objects. It's a weird place where nothing makes any sense. Aiba's a human, and she's neighing like this. She's also touching doorknobs like this.
And this is sus.
After recalling a strange memory, Date wakes up, and the next day he meets with his boss in her office, which is full of a lot of random crap. The case isn't typical, because Date knows the victim. Her name is Shoko Nadami, and she's the ex-wife of an old friend of his. He's also the guardian of her daughter, the girl he found hiding the night before. She's still too traumatized to talk, and the victim's ex-husband Renju is being questioned by the police, so Date pursues another lead and goes to a local studio to question the person who called in the crime.
Are you Ota Matsushita?
Who are you?
I'm from the MPD.
Do you have a warrant?
Article 2.3 of the Execution of Law Enforcement Code. Unless initiated by legal process, no person shall be detained or obligated to answer any questions without explicit consent. Eventually, the kid talks and says he made the call after coming across the body with Mizuki the night before. They're mutual friends of Aset, a social media influencer, and apparently Mizuki got a message telling her to go to the amusement park the night before. Not wanting to go alone, she asks Oda to go with her. Date meets Aset, then, after making a few other observations, he returns to the scene of the crime. Aset convinces Date to let her tag along, and together they return to the amusement park and look around. Date learns her real name's Iris, and she's a social media influencer for the company Renju owns. He takes her home and meets her mom, Hitomi, then heads to the police headquarters. Mizuki's still not talking, so to get information, Date syncs with her. Using a sync machine, he enters her somnium and gathers clues from her memory. From here, the story eventually branches into 5 different timelines, sometimes referred to as the Oda, Iris, Mizuki, Annihilation, and Resolution timelines. Each timeline has different plot points and endings, and if you want to know the entire story, you have to play them all, then piece everything together. In most of the timelines, you also get to know a particular character throughout the investigation. At first it all seems really convoluted, but by the end when you've gathered all the info, it all comes together in a really satisfying way. In the Mizuki timeline, Date continues his investigation and learns Renju has gone missing. He learns from Mizuki that he owned a restaurant called Sunfish Pocket, and with no other leads he goes there and discovers Renju dead. Date investigates the scene of the crime, then, looking for Oda, he heads back to the studio and talks to the receptionist again.
Oh, what? Hey there, handsome.
Excuse me?
I cannot even right now. Hold on, give me just one sec. Mizuki, do you know this guy?
Yeah?
Can you introduce me, please?
Not finding Oda, he pursues another lead and heads to the hideout of the Kamakuras, a Yakuza gang, to question the gang's leader. He doesn't learn anything new, but he does unexpectedly encounter So Sejima, a politician. Continuing the investigation, Date learns that a prisoner named Number 89 has come forward, saying he knows who killed Shoko, and that he'll reveal their identity if he's released. Date encounters Oda again, and asks him if he might know anything about Renju's murder, at which point Oda reveals something weird he saw the day before, Iris leaving Sunfish Pocket with Renju. Date questions Iris, but senses she's holding out on him, so he syncs with her. He gathers information from her Somnium, but a lot of it's incomprehensible. Then he takes Iris home. On the way, he's unexpectedly ambushed by Oda and knocked out. When he comes to, Boss calls with chilling news. A live stream is being broadcast online showing Iris tied up and about to be murdered. Date rushes to the warehouse the live stream's traced to, and inside finds Oda and Iris injured but alive. Meanwhile, the culprits escaped. While Iris and Oda are recovering in the hospital, Date tries to spend some time with Mizuki, but she's a little too busy focusing on her workout. Oda recovers and Date syncs with him to gather clues about what happened. He learns the culprit's leg was injured during the events that took place at the warehouse, and investigating the scene again, he also discovers a bloodstain containing 2 different DNA signals. Date also encounters So Sejima again at the warehouse, who's mysteriously limping. Suspecting him, he gets his DNA and runs it through the lab, and the results turn out to be a match. Sejima's blood is one of the signals in the bloodstain at the warehouse. Date goes to confront Sejima at his house, and soon finds himself in a standoff with him and his men. What happens next are all the events leading up to the finale of this timeline, so I won't spoil those, but Date does discover the truth about Sejima's involvement in the killings.
Date, there are still many loose ends in this investigation.
Yeah, you're right.
The Oda timelines unlocked around the time Oda and Iris are abducted and taken to the warehouse. The events in this timeline play out similarly to the previous one, but because of a suspicious finding, Oda's mother Mayumi is implicated in the crime. Date questions her and syncs with her, and gathers enough clues from her Somnium to clear her. This timeline's really short, and is mainly just focused on the story between Oda and his mom, which just out of nowhere is really heartbreaking. Anyway, the killer's still at large, so you have to keep investigating. You re-enter Mizuki's Somnium and interact with other objects to unlock Iris' timeline, which picks up right after Date syncs with Mizuki. After flirting with the receptionist at the studio a little more, Date investigates the amusement park again and finds a cell phone, which is revealed to have belonged to Shoko. The phone's record reveals a contact who called Shoko just before the murder, and the number is traced to Sejima. Date questions him, but he doesn't reveal anything. Then, later that night, he secretly follows him as he makes his way to the warehouse. He sees him go inside, then come out and leave, at which point Date goes inside to discover what he believes is Iris' corpse. He soon discovers it wasn't actually Iris' corpse, though, because Iris is still alive. But when he returns to the warehouse, the body's gone. Continuing his investigation, Date learns more about Iris and her mother, Hitomi. Number 89 calls and says he knows who killed Shoko in this timeline as well, and Date questions him at police headquarters before Number 89 tricks the officers guarding him and escapes. Out of nowhere, Iris is then abducted by Pewter and taken to the warehouse. Date rushes there and manages to rescue her, at which point Iris reveals that days previously, Renju took her to an abandoned factory and tried to drag her inside for some unknown reason, but she ran away before he could. Date goes to the factory and discovers a second sync machine there. After that, some crazy events happen before this timeline concludes, but I'm not going to spoil those. So Dante still doesn't know who the killer is, so we have to unlock another timeline. Returning to Iris' Somnium, you unlock the Annihilation timeline, which picks up right after Iris' sync. Dante is tricked by Oda and Iris again and knocked out. When he comes to, Boss calls to tell him about the murderer's live stream. He goes to the warehouse, but this time he's too late. Iris and Oda are killed. He continues the investigation, and searching the warehouse again, Pewter, the police headquarters sync engineer, reveals some interesting information. The old Cyclops killings from back in the day were actually carried out by two killers, and one of them was number 89. Number 89 is brought to police headquarters, and when Dante syncs with him, he unexpectedly sees Boss in his Somnium. After the sync, he tries to call her but can't reach her. He goes to her office and, hacking into her computer, comes across a video of her killing So Sajima. Tracing her phone's GPS, he rushes to Hitomi's house. There, a standoff takes place between him and Boss's agents, but he manages to subdue Boss and her men. He brings her to headquarters and syncs with her, and gathering clues from her Somnium, deduces the truth and finds out who the real killer is. So Dante knows who the killer is, but there are still a lot of questions around how they did it. In order to find that out, you have to journey down the resolution timeline. In this timeline, Dante gets more information about the corpse he thought was Iris's. Putting pieces together, he learns it was the corpse of someone named Monica Ely, and that she's actually the biological mother of Iris. Having been entrusted with baby Iris, and fearing what might happen if anyone found out she was still alive, Hitomi hid Monica's body. Iris goes missing in this timeline, and Dante goes to the abandoned factory to rescue her. There he discovers Renju's corpse lying in the second sync machine chair. Then number 89 appears and knocks him out. The rest of this timeline contains major spoilers and one of the major twists for the true main ending of the game. But Dante does find out how the killer committed all the crimes, and all the mysteries are wrapped up, including how and why he got amnesia. The truth was a seriously good twist, and again, play the game to find out what it was, because it's really good. And that's the basic plot of the game. If it seemed kind of confusing, then you can probably imagine what the full plot is like. That's one of the frustrating things about the story. It throws so much information at you, it's hard not to be left a little bewildered. You'll be trying to piece together clues when the story will suddenly introduce new characters and tell you something random about them. There's so much information at every turn, and you have no idea what's important or what you should remember. Honestly, don't even try to figure out who the culprit is before the end, because chances are you won't guess it. But don't let that dissuade you from playing Somnium Files, because beyond how frustrating and convoluted the plot is, it still manages to be really interesting and fun. The story impresses enough of the major plot points on you, so that by the end, after you piece everything together, you get a really great ending. The playtime's around 25 hours, and maybe you might think that isn't enough time for good character story, but that's not true. That was another unexpected thing about Somnium Files. The story sneaks up on you with these character moments that just out of the blue really break your heart. Oda's a cringy, self-centered otaku in the beginning, but you come to learn there's a lot more to his story. There's a really sad backstory to do with his mom and the illness she's suffering from. Through all the horrible things that happen, Oda and his mom are on really bad terms. There are so many misunderstandings between them, and his mom doesn't know how to fix things before it's too late. Iris seems like a naive and fun-loving young girl, but she's actually haunted by the horrific things that have happened to her. She doesn't understand why there are people after her, and why her guardian tries to hide her away. Her story is characterized by the people who were taken from her, and all the things she was never told. When things between Mizuki's parents got worse and worse, Date took her in. She's cold and defiant, and she's not exactly respectful to Date or his things.
Dante! I broke your computer! You can't watch any more porn!
What if she doesn't like it?
I'm home!
Mizuki, welcome back.
What are you hiding?
I was just thinking that this place looks awfully empty, right? Look, it's perfect right here.
Ugly.
But the walls she puts up start to crack after the murders of her parents. She's not nice to Date, and yet the relationship she has with him is revealed to be the most important thing in the world to her, and all her true feelings are brought to the surface by her fear of losing him. The story hits you with these heart-wrenching character moments out of nowhere, and you can't help but feel really bad for these people. But then you're hit with something random and ridiculous,
I want to see Tessa's panties.
and you're back in the game's usual nonsense. Seriously, this game changes tone really fast. 1 second you're investigating this gruesome murder where their victim got their eye torn out. and the next you're being told some nutty random nonsense. The writing's sort of aware of it, though. I mean, how else can you explain ending a grisly murder mystery with a song and dance number? As the main character, Kaname Date is your window into everything. He's a talented detective, and generally a likable person. He makes an effort to do the right thing, even if he doesn't always get it right. He has amnesia, and he can't remember anything that happened beyond 6 years ago. He's also really, really horny.
You watch weird videos when I'm not around, don't you?
Weird videos.
Something about cuckoldry?
Mr. Date? What are you staring at?
Your sound system.
My sound system? What about it?
I was just admiring it. I wish I had one that big.
I'm going to expose your browser history.
What?
7 ways to take home a cabaret girl. 3 minutes with a married woman.
Ow!
Are you okay?
That hurt.
I'll let you read this porno mag if it'll make you feel better.
I will burn it.
Hey, Date, do you want this poster?
No, not really.
You know, if you rub the swimsuit with a coin, you can scrape it off.
I'll take it. Eating sushi off a naked woman for 780 yen?
You grow to like him, though. He's kind of like a dorky older brother. As his personal assistant AI, Aiba has an amusing dynamic with him. Her and Date tease each other a lot, and help each other out. Sort of. The story moves through a lot of different settings, and you definitely get your detective noir fix through a ton of atmospheric and moody moments. A lot of the tropes of the genre are here, but the story also plays with new ideas. As a device, the Somniums are a particular standout. You encounter really weird things in them. There are people and objects you just can't make any sense of, but they have such a hold over you because you feel like if you could just figure out what everything means, you'd be closer to catching the killer. The plot twists are also really good. The truth behind who the killer is and how they did it had me really surprised and wishing I'd figured it out sooner. It makes you want to play the game again just to notice all the hints you missed the first time. The amount of nonsense in Somnium Files isn't something you can really ignore, and it's definitely obvious every time the tone goes from goofy to serious, but it's more of a take it or leave it quirk. If I'm being completely honest, the game's overall story caught me off guard in a good way. The characters grow on you, and their stories are heartbreaking. The twists and endings are unexpected and smart, and even though it can get confusing and you get information overload a lot, the story has a way of sticking with you. Other than that, I'm not really sure how to end this video. Play AI the Somnium Files because the story's really good, and like and subscribe, and until next time, here's some more of Date being really horny.
You're a studious man, aren't you, Date? I heard from Mizuki. Whenever she's not around, you're always on your computer, watching training videos.
Training videos?
Yes, a female secret agent caught in the enemy's hideout or something.
Ah, yes. Yeah, that. Right.
Date, what is that on the kitchen table? Could it be your favorite thing?
What?
The magazine.
You want me to look at a magazine now?
Just look.
Can't be. Hey, Iris. Do you like bigger speakers or smaller speakers?
Bigger, I guess.
Could you say I like them big? Anyway, let's have a look. Hey, this is just a cooking magazine. If I make a wish, will it come true?
That is not Shenron.
I wish for panties.
I told you that's not Shenron.
You think something this size would fit?
Might fit if you work it in a little. Try just the tip.
I suppose.
Date, is it true? Mizuki told me you hid a magazine under the rug. Something about eating a nice spread? Why did you hide a cooking magazine?